Morning guys, I'm here to share with you a quick modification that I have made to the Jumper T16 Pro. But before I begin, if I can apologise if there's any background noise, sitting down over there I have a brand new 3D printer. It's a Chiron, it's huge and it's printing a massive part, and well, it's a 24-hour print, so I'm not going to turn it off so I can make this video. So put up with the noise, that's the way it goes. But yeah, the modification in this case is an internal antenna. Now, obviously I've got the crossfire running on the back here, and if I pop that off out the way it'll make it a bit clearer to see. We've got up top here a little rubber bung. Now, originally on the bog standard jumper, you didn't have the internal RF module, and essentially they just plugged the hole with a rubber bung, and I can take it out. There you go. You see what I mean? Nothing special about it. You can buy these on eBay, Amazon. You can print them. It's they're straightforward. Now, the new jumper obviously has an internal RF module. That's fantastic news. Primarily because it means you can fly pretty much anything with this. Well, in my case, I'm 99.9% crossfire. This is what I use on pretty much everything. And if I'm honest, as good as the internal is, I've got 3 or 4 models with it. I barely use it, and when it comes to 2.4, the truth is I don't actually fly very far away. So the whole issue of having this antenna sticking out the top, I actually don't even have an antenna here to show you, but you end up with a dangly bit sticking out the top, and you know, after a couple of days of using it, I was already getting it damaged in the bag every time I packed it, and it was just a hassle. So I thought, well, what can I do about this? And it actually turns out to be quite easy. It's simply a case of changing the internal antenna connection and plugging on something different. Now, if you take a look here, I've got a number of videos here, and what I'm showing you here is the internal RF module board. I brought it up full screen here so you can see. And you've got one of these little UPX, or is it UFL connectors, I think it is, that's on it, which makes things kind of quite easy because you can actually just get a little receiver antenna and swap it out directly. Now, if you jump back to things like the Horus, the FR Horus, they actually use an internal antenna for pretty much everything. The external is almost completely unneeded. So, in my case, what I did is I just grabbed a little 2.4 antenna, plugged it on. It's not the best antenna, it's kind of just a receiver antenna, and really I'd like to get a dipole on that. But there's actually an antenna which I'm going to get that will come from China. It's a little kind of strip PCB antenna. It's got a sleeve dipole, etc. It's made by FreeSky, and it just plugs straight on. Now, doing the mod's not particularly hard, but there are a couple of caveats, because I would warn you that on my first attempt I completely mucked up the internal RF board just because I rushed it and I had to go get another one. And what it comes down to is the UFL connector has had a whole lot of glue put on it. It's an antenna glue. It's quite, you know, it dries really hard, but the problem is that what happened is I was loosening it up and I twisted the cable, and unfortunately the other end of the connector, the part mounted to the PCB board, detached itself. Now, at that point it's almost game over because it had pulled the PCB track up when it did it. So, well, 20 quid later I had another RF module board. I've plugged it on, and this time I did it a little bit slower. I didn't rush it, and the results are far better. You know, the technique here I found was to actually use a hot soldering iron to soften the glue, but not to touch the PCB, and it would gradually soften. I figure a heat gun might also work. You know, soften up the glue, gradually jiggle the existing lead until you can pop it off, and then off you go. And then the end result is obviously I've got the little antenna internally, which I've fed up sitting over here, and you can see in the detailed picture, it's sitting just in front of the 2 potentiometers, and that works quite well. Now, I've gone out, I've flown, I've gone a good few hundred meters. It works. Now, in my opinion, this just makes the radio that much better, because I don't like having all the dangly bits coming out. It's bad enough having this thing on the end. Yeah, the end result's quite cool. what I think's really interesting is while I had the whole guts of this open, I actually think with a little bit of work and some 3D printing, I might be able to get two 1850s on either side of this here without it touching the pots. Now, that could really get interesting because what it means is my internal case, I could have it so, well, I could probably put a little charger port or anything in here whilst retaining, you know, cracky 6,000 milliamp hours of power. Phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal if I can do that. So maybe I'll think about it. At the moment, 3,000 gets me a whole day without trying, so I'm kind of do I or don't I? Don't know. But anyway, there you go. It's a simple mod. You can see in the videos of the actual internals of the radio what I've done. You know, if you feel inspired, jump in and do it. Cheers, guys.